The Olympic Games are a huge global event today, a festival of sport that brings the world together every few years. We watch incredible athletes on our screens, competing for gold, silver and bronze medals in a vast array of disciplines. This grand spectacle, however, has roots that stretch back thousands of years to the dusty fields of ancient Greece. The story of the Olympics is not just about sport, it is a story of history, culture, and the enduring human desire to push our limits. To truly understand the modern games, we must first travel back in time to their sacred beginnings, to a place where gods were honored and athletes were heroes whose victories were celebrated for generations. The ancient Olympic Games began in a very special place in Greece called Olympia. Historians tell us the first recorded games took place in 776 BC, making them an incredibly old tradition. Olympia was not just a sports venue, it was a sacred site dedicated to the king of the gods, Zeus. A massive, magnificent statue of Zeus, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, stood in a temple overlooking the site, reminding everyone of the religious importance of the event. The games were held every 4 years, and this 4-year period became known as an Olympiad, a unit of time used by ancient Greeks to measure history itself. The ancient games were quite different from the ones we know now. Only free-born Greek men who spoke the Greek language were allowed to participate. Women, with the exception of some priestesses, were not allowed to compete or even to watch the events. The athletes competed completely naked, a practice that was meant to show the beauty and strength of the human body and was also a tribute to the gods. The events were focused on skills that were useful in warfare. The first and only event for many years was a short foot race called the Stadion, a sprint of about 192 meters, which was the length of the stadium itself. Over the centuries, more sports were added to the program, making the festival longer and more exciting. These included media group, montage of ancient Olympic events, statues depicting wrestling and boxing, historic illustrations of Olympic sports at stock at distribute equally longer running races, wrestling, boxing, and the pancration, which was a brutal mix of boxing and wrestling with very few rules. One of the most prestigious events was the pentathlon, which tested athletes in 5 different skills: media group, ancient Greek discus thrower statue, javelin throw, reenactment at Olympia, at stock, at distribute equally, the discus throw, the javelin throw, the long jump, a foot race, and wrestling. Winning at Olympia was the greatest honor an athlete could achieve. Victors did not receive medals, but were crowned with a wreath made from the leaves of a sacred olive tree. They returned to their home cities as heroes, celebrated with poems, statues, and lifelong privileges. The ancient Olympic Games were a powerful tradition that lasted for nearly 1,200 years, a remarkable span of time. However, their long history eventually came to an end. As the Roman Empire grew in power and influence, Greece became a part of it. The Romans had their own culture and different views on sport and religion. The sacred meaning of the games began to fade. The final blow came in 393 AD when the Roman Emperor Theodosius I, who was a Christian, banned all pagan festivals and cults. The Olympic Games, with their deep connections to the Greek gods like Zeus, were seen as a pagan ritual and were officially stopped, bringing an end to this ancient tradition. For over 1,500 years, the world lived without the Olympic Games. The magnificent stadiums and temples of Olympia fell into ruin, buried by earthquakes and floods, and the memory of the Games became a distant legend, a story found only in old texts. The idea of a global sports festival seemed lost to time. The spirit of competition continued in different forms around the world, but nothing matched the scale or the sacred importance of the ancient Olympics. The world changed dramatically during this long silence, with new nations, new technologies, and new ideas emerging. The unifying power of the Games was forgotten as centuries passed by without the gathering of athletes in the name of sport. The dream of reviving the Olympic Games was born in the mind of a French nobleman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin. He was an educator and a historian who was deeply passionate about the role of physical education in building character. He believed that sport could make people better, stronger, and more peaceful. De Coubertin visited the ruins of ancient Olympia and was inspired by the ideals of the original Games. He imagined a new version of the Olympics, not just for Greeks, but for athletes from all over the world. He believed that bringing nations together in friendly competition could promote understanding and peace, a powerful idea in a time of growing international tensions. Baron de Coubertin worked tirelessly to turn his vision into a reality. He traveled across Europe and America, speaking to leaders, educators, and sports officials to gain support for his ambitious project. In 1894, he organized a congress in Paris where he proposed the revival of the Olympic Games. The delegates from different countries loved the idea and unanimously voted to bring the Games back. They formed the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, to organize the event with de Coubertin as its leader. It was decided that the first modern Olympic Games would be held in 1896 in Athens, Greece, the birthplace of the ancient tradition, to honor its historic origins. The first modern Olympic Games in Athens in 1896 were a modest but significant start. Around 241 athletes, all of them men from 14 different nations, gathered to compete. While this was small by today's standards, it was the largest international sporting event of its time. The competitions took place in a newly restored Panathenaic Stadium, a magnificent structure built entirely of marble. The events included athletics, cycling, fencing, gymnastics, swimming and wrestling, echoing some of the ancient sports while introducing new ones. The revival was a success, and it captured the world's imagination, laying the foundation for the global phenomenon the Olympics would soon become. From that first event in Athens, the Olympic Games began a journey of incredible growth and transformation. The early Games traveled to different major cities like Paris and St. Louis, often as part of larger world's fairs. These initial events faced challenges, but the Olympic movement slowly gained momentum. More and more countries started participating, sending their best athletes to represent them on this new international stage. The number of sports also expanded with each Olympiad, reflecting the diverse athletic traditions from around the world. The introduction of the Winter Olympics in 1924 further broadened the scope, creating a separate celebration for sports like skiing, skating, and ice hockey. One of the most important changes in the history of the modern Olympics was the inclusion of women. While a very small number of women competed in a few sports as early as the 1900 Paris Games, their participation was limited for many decades. It took a long time and a lot of effort from pioneering female athletes and advocates to achieve greater equality. Over the years, the number of women competing and the number of women's events steadily increased. Today, the Olympic Games are close to achieving full gender parity, with nearly as many female athletes as male athletes competing, a powerful symbol of progress and a stark contrast to the all-male ancient games. The scale of the modern Olympics is now immense, a far cry from the ancient gatherings at Olympia. Today, over 11,000 athletes from more than 200 nations participate in the Summer Games, competing in over 300 events. The Games have become a massive logistical undertaking, requiring years of planning and the construction of state-of-the-art stadiums and villages. From the traditional running and jumping events to modern additions like skateboarding, surfing, and sport climbing, the Olympic program is constantly evolving. And instead of an olive wreath, athletes now compete for the iconic gold, silver, and bronze medals, symbols of excellence recognized all over the world. So why do the Olympic Games capture the hearts and minds of billions of people around the globe? For fans, it is a thrilling 2-week spectacle of human achievement. We get to witness the very best athletes in the world perform at the peak of their abilities, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. It is a chance to feel a sense of national pride, cheering for the athletes who wear our country's colours. But it is also an opportunity to appreciate the skill and dedication of competitors from every corner of the planet. We are inspired by their incredible strength, speed, and grace, and we share in their moments of triumph and disappointment. For the athletes, the Olympics represent the ultimate goal, the pinnacle of their sporting careers. For most, just qualifying to compete is the achievement of a lifetime, the result of countless years of relentless training, sacrifice, and unwavering dedication. It is a unique chance to test their skills against the best in the world and to represent their country on the grandest stage imaginable. Standing on the podium and receiving a medal is a moment of pure joy and validation, a reward for a lifetime of hard work. The Games are filled with powerful human stories of overcoming adversity, of sportsmanship, and of the pursuit of excellence. Beyond the individual victories and national celebrations, the Olympic Games carry a deeper meaning. They are built on the ideals of friendship, respect and excellence, values that Baron de Coubertin hoped would foster a more peaceful world. For a few weeks, the world's attention turns away from conflict and division and focuses instead on what unites us. We see athletes from rival nations congratulate and embrace each other. We witness moments of incredible sportsmanship where competitors help one another. This Olympic spirit is a powerful reminder that despite our differences, we are all part of a shared human family, capable of coming together in a spirit of friendly competition. From the sacred rituals of ancient Olympia to the high-tech global broadcast of the modern era, the Olympic Games have traveled an epic journey. They have survived cancellation, wars and controversies, yet they continue to endure and evolve. The Games are a living link to our ancient past and a hopeful symbol for our future. They show us the beauty of human potential, not just in breaking records, but in our capacity to unite, to celebrate our shared humanity, and to strive for a better, more peaceful world. The flame that is lit in Olympia and travels to the host city is more than just a tradition. It is a beacon of hope that continues to inspire us all.